Okay, so for today we'll be discussing about CSS Background. CSS Background. So the syntax is background, colon, and then value. So background property is a shorthand property for background color, background image, background position, background repeat, etc. So if you want to place several values at once, then you can just use background. But let's try to examine the different background properties. So first we have the background color. So the syntax is background dash color and then colon followed by the value. So for example, we have here body, so background color coral, for example. Now let's try that. So I have here now my editor. So I have my blank, more or less a blank HTML file. So I'm going to specify here body. Then so background color coral, for example. So I'm going to use the coral background color. So we can launch or view maybe Chrome. So that is now my output. So I have here now my background color. So let's go back to my PowerPoint slide. Next, how about if we want to have an image as our background? So the syntax will be background dash image colon and then URL and then open close parenthesis. So inside this, inside double quote, we have the image URL. So it can be the file name or maybe a URL of an image from the internet. So for example, we have body, background image, then URL, then we have here a file. So let's try that. So this was our output a while ago. This is our file. So this time around, instead of color, I'm going to use image URL. Okay, but let's try to examine first the folder where I'm saving my my file. So here in my folder, I have here several images. So I have here one image technology, which is actually a JPEG file. I also have CS logo, which is a PNG file, and CS logo 2, so another PNG file. And I think the difference between these two is that we have additional some sort of margin for CS logo, while there more or less there are no margins for CS logo 2. So let's try to use technology as our background. So I'm going to place here technology.jpg. So I don't have to specify the path because this file is also this image rather is also saved on the same folder where my file is also saved. So let me save that. And once I refresh, so I have here now the image. So I have here now the image. Now we can also have two images. So let's say for example, I have here another one. So body background image. Then I have here the first image, comma, and then the second image. If we're going to look at this, you notice that the image is actually repeated. So by default, the image will be repeated. That's why I have here several instance of the image. So what will happen if I specify two images? So that means that the first image will be on top of the second image. So I have URL CS logo.png, comma, and then URL technology.jpg. So I have here now two files. So I'm going to save this and go back to my browser and refresh. So you notice here now that the CS logo is displayed on top of the technology JPEG file. So again, we can specify two files or two images. Let's go back to our PowerPoint presentation. So after background image, how about the background position? So we can specify here the background position. So it can be left top, left center, left bottom, etc. or in terms of percent, and also in terms of position. So let's say, for example, you want to specify the position in pixels. So let's try some of this. So this time around, I'm going to use the CS logo 2. CS logo 2 PNG. So CS logo 2 PNG. I'm going to remove the other one. So we have here now background position. Let's say we have what? Center left. Do we have that value? Let's check. So I have here, oh no, center bottom. So let's try that, center bottom. I think I had some background, repeat, no, repeat. So let's try this. So refresh. So there we have here the bottom of the image. I'm not sure if I can specify this one. I think that's only center. So what if I just place center? What will happen? So it's at the center of this on the top, and also center. So center of the image and center of this one. You can actually experiment. So you can also have percent, 50% vertical and negative 50%. So that's like an XY graph. So negative should be below the top, below 0, or the top one is actually 0. So negative 50. So I have here now my background. So you can experiment on the position. So next, with the background repeat, I've already placed here no repeat. So let's remove this one first. So by default, the default is actually repeat. So if you're going to view our web page, so it will repeat the image. So that's by default. So if you place no repeat, then the image will be shown only once. So what if I place repeat X? So X axis. So that's the horizontal axis. So if I refresh, I think I did not save the file. So save the file, and then once I refresh, so it will only repeat horizontally. So what if I place, instead of repeat X, I use repeat Y? Then that means that the image will be repeated this time around vertically. We also have other values like repeat, contain. I know, repeat. What's the value again? Repeat space rather. So let's go back to my file, repeat space. So what repeat space will do is it will place the image on the left edge and place the image on the right edge, and then now fill this up with the same image with equal spacing. So that's space. The next one, so I have here now background. Where's my PowerPoint presentation? Background repeat. Now this time we have background size. So we can also change the size. We have the following value. We have auto, that's the default. We can specify the length. We can specify percentage. So percentage is percent of the parent element. So cover will actually resize the background image to cover the entire container. So these are the values that we can experiment. So by default, let's say we don't have any repeat. So background repeat, no repeat. Background size, let's say for example I have here 400 px, 300 px. So I specified the width and the height. So let's see it, 400 px, that's the width, and the height is 300 pixels. So you can specify the size. Or what if I use cover? If I use cover, then it will, so actually it covered the whole width of the screen. Let's cover. So what are other values? We can also have contain. I don't know if contain will work here, but let's try. Contain. But it's there. It's a very small image. So in a way, we have here several, so what we have discussed are several of the background properties. So background size. Again, we have the background repeat. And you can see here some of the possible values you're going to use. We have the background position. We have the background image, how to place background image. Background color. So these are some of the background properties of CSS. So now it's time for you to try. Thank you.